How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the Athletes Hub. And today's topic has been a trending one throughout the week, and we are going to be discussing nationality representation. And joining me to discuss that conversation is Mr. Flexx.
Yes, how we doing, guys?
Very good, Flexx. How are you getting on?
Yeah, not too bad, my man. Not too bad. We're back at it again.
Back at it again. Nice one. Also, guys, it's not just me and Flexx today. We've also got Pepper who's joining us.
How you doing, guys? Thanks for the invite, man.
No problem. Thanks for joining us, Pepper. It's good to have you on to discuss this tasty bit of news this week. For sure.
Indeed.
Guys, me and Flexx discussed this in our weekly roundup, actually. We discussed nationality representation in football and the situation regarding Nketiah and also Callum Hudson-Odoi potentially joining the Ghana Black Star team at the World Cup next year. And Coach Otto Addo had a lot to say about it, and this is what he said.
Yeah, we will look at each case one by one. And without naming or giving names, there are players which we have been chasing since I was a coach in 2021, who didn't reply to our call or didn't want to come, and it's very, very difficult, to say in general this is what we do. So we have to see each case by case, and it's a different thing if we haven't approached you, and now you want to come, then. We have been approaching you all the way and you said no, but now that as we are at the World Cup, you want to come. And I think Ghana should always have a certain pride also as a country. I think also that we need to go on each player and to check the commitment, which is very, very crucial because we have a very good unity and definitely don't want to destroy this with bringing players in who don't have the commitment. So commitment has to be first. And then from there, we will see if anyone shows in the next 6, 7, 8 months from his performance, but also from commitments that he wants to play for Ghana, then we are always open.
So that was Ghana Black Star head coach Otto Addo. Then I would say quite blunt, actually, and quite direct with his comments. Pull no punches there, was very clear about who should be playing for the Black Stars and probably who shouldn't be playing for the Black Stars. And yeah, I don't know, maybe we spoke about this, Flexx, didn't we, in our podcast, and everyone's had their opinions. It's been quite mixed. I think some have welcomed the potential addition of Nketiah and also Hudson-Odoi. Others have been quite, blunt and saying, well, they shouldn't be able to play for Ghana if they haven't contributed towards the qualifying rounds. Now Papa as well. Papa, what's your thoughts on this? Because me and Flexx have discussed it. I think personally, if they were to join the squad, I wouldn't think that's a bad thing. I think they're good players, and I think they'll obviously enhance Ghana's chances of doing well at the World Cup. But some people don't have that view. What's your view on it?
Yeah, they shouldn't join the squad. They're not coming to the World Cup.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw in the comments. Do you remember the MC Napa? He's a boxing manager now for Chris Eubank. He said, "You're not Ghanaian if you are saying that they shouldn't join the squad." Shut up, bruv. Personally, Ghanaians, you've not been there through the whole World Cup qualifier. You can't just come and join the team at the end. We've done well to cultivate a really good momentum. I would rather see this team get to the round of 16 and be proud of them than for these two guys to come. And trust me, they're not going to come in. They're not even of Kudus' level to make the team more spectacular anyway, to enhance the team. That's just my opinion. I don't see, and Nketiah doesn't start for Crystal Palace. He's been given the opportunity to be a top Premier League striker. He hasn't done anything different to what Jordan Ayew has done anyway. So in my opinion, it's not worth fighting for Eddie Nketiah to be a part of our team at this stage now to ruin the momentum. All of Ghana feel away about it. I personally believe that they should come after the World Cup and join in with the qualifiers. They have to earn their right. Those players that helped us get to where we are, cultivated a strong momentum, a good playing team. We're now scoring goals. I know we have still got flaws in our team. They can't just come in on board now at the friendly. And it's different from, I guess, because during a World Cup year, there's always one or two players that come out of nowhere to come in. But they're not even performing exceptionally at their club. Hudson-Odoi is not having a great season at the moment as it stands anyway. Do you understand? Maybe if this was last season, I'd be like, oh, okay, you know what? He's performing well. There's something that I can say, okay, there's this, but he's not performing. No assists, no goals. And Nketiah has come in, but he's not starting over Mateta. He's not a first choice starter. So it's not anything for me to even be excited to say, oh, we need these players in our team at the moment. When we needed help, when we really needed help, We didn't have a striker. Our was all over the place. They weren't there. They actually chose not to represent us. Eddie Nketiah flat out turned us down for England. I can't. This is a personal opinion, and I'm one of the Ghanaians that's using emotion. I'm not going to lie to you, but I would rather support my team, the guys that have got us there, the pride that we feel. I haven't felt this type of pride since maybe 2010, 2008. I'd rather keep this in a bubble as we go to America. We have a really good chance of going further at the World Cup because of where it is, because of the environment plays into our hands compared to the European teams. I think we have a good chance with the team that we are to go some distance, maybe quarters if we have a really good run. Eddie Nketiah, I don't see the point in us having this big fuss with Eddie Nketiah and Callum Hudson-Odoi to be a part of the team now. They will just disrupt the momentum. It's how public opinion is swaying at the moment. I think it's best that they come after the World Cup and join. If they're that serious, they have to miss out on this opportunity. John Obi Mikel said in his podcast in July 2024. I wish I'd sent you the clip, actually. Me and Francis spoke about this. Me and Flexx spoke about this about a week ago. He said, and he said it straight. He said, "You want to now come and join the team after we've been chasing you? Fuck off." That's what he said. Those were his exact words. And it almost was written. And guess what's happened? It's actually turned out to be Ghana that is our players that are trying to do this. I'm disappointed in the families that represent them that would even say, "Yeah, I am, bro. I take this a bit deeply, man. We've worked really hard to get to where we are. The last 6 years has been horrible for Ghana. It's been so horrible. So for me, I know you're Flexx, and you are of the idea that, we should get the better players that will enhance our team. But it doesn't just work that way. You've seen it at club football. You don't just get the best players and it just works. You have to cultivate a team spirit, work in patterns. Otto has done well to change our fortunes from 2022 to the point that we're at right now. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm not saying don't join the Ghana team. I'm saying you can't join now. You wait your turn. You come after the World Cup. That's it.
That's it. Quite strong there from Papa there. Flexx, what do you think?
Man, that's a very strong opinion. You say that Eddie, for example, wouldn't improve the team, right? And this is where I disagree in terms of that, because if we look at the person who is our striker at this moment, which is Jordan Ayew approximately scores every 642 minutes compared to Eddie, who scores at 166 minutes. That's a vast difference. Do you see what I mean? In terms of goal output. So I think it would be, I would say, prudent to at least invite these type of boys into the fold to see how they are between now and the World Cup. Like Otto Addo said, let's check their commitment. Let's see where they're at. Let's see these things for ourselves, and then see if it's valid, if it's validated between now and then we can see if there's a space for them, because we can't say these boys will not lift the standard that's at the club. At the national team, like they will raise the standard there. Hudson-Odoi is a very good winger. He will raise the standard of our wing situation. Eddie will be the best striker that the national team has. That's just facts. I mean, I've just told you about the goals per minutes, compared to Jordan, who's our striker. So I think, of course, from a pride perspective, I think we shouldn't be so prideful that we miss out on the opportunity. I think we have to consider all factors here to say we want to do our best as a nation, in this competition. And we're not going to cut our nose off to spite our face because this certain man want to come now. Do you see what I mean? That's just my view on it. Like Rich, what's your?
I mean,
when does it stop? Sorry, Rich. Can I just add to that? Go on. This is what the thing about Ghanaians. We're so listen. I know you're saying it's a prideful thing, but this is shameful. This happens all the time. When do we stop this? This is even a great issue. When do we stop this? Let me give you an example. That's why African football doesn't go far, because we let these guys get to their pride. Like, we could look. You see Nigeria, yeah. This is why I rate Nigeria. See all them boys there. All them young British Nigerian boys, they got together, they played, they won the Cup of Nations in 2015. They had Victor Moses, a few of them man there. They're proud. I know, like, we know there's Eze and Saka that have gone to England. Fair enough, they got them young. But there's a lot of those Nigerian boys that have also committed to Nigeria. Why is it Ghanaians can't do the same?
Do you know why? I'll tell you why. You know, like if we're looking at the case in point where Eddie, Hudson, and a few others, they were the best at their age, in their age group at their clubs. And even in the national team, in their age group, they were the best players. So naturally, your progression is for the England first team, right? That's your natural course of progression. So going to Ghana is not even a thought. Let's be honest, the boys that are all playing for Nigeria, they're the Sankwas boys. They're the ones that were never going to make it for England. They were never going to make it for here, there, or anywhere. And the ones that made it are the ones that obviously are playing for England. Like Noni is playing, like Bakayo is playing, like Ebere is playing. All of them boys there, you know. So you've kind of got to, at a very early age, know, am I going to be England, you know, squad 23, or am I going to go to other nationality and be, you know, first 11? And you've got to make that choice very, very early on. You kind of got to know yourself, but that's not the case with our set. Now, what I would say to that in regards to where does it stop? It stops when African football are able to provide better working conditions for the players, right? And a better standard. That's where it stops. It stops when, you know, when flights, like I remember Obi Mikel mentioning that he had to pay for flights for the team, right? To get to their national team game. It stops when those things stop. I remember JJ Akocha mentioning that in the 90s, the Olympics that they won, Nigeria won, the coach that they had, right, to take them back and forth from the hotel to the game, right, the Nigerian FA didn't even pay for the coach. So when they came out one day, there was no coach, right? And so then him and a few other players had to pay out their own pockets to hire a coach to get them back and forth. And then guess what? They win the Olympics gold medal, and who's getting the glory? Do you see what I mean? So it's these type of
things. It happened to the Ghanaian team as well. I'll be honest with you. It happened at the 2014 World Cup in Brazil. Muntari and Boateng, Prince Boateng, came to argue for the other Ghana players who don't have that stature, that understanding about their, you know, you get paid. The Ghana FA are supposed to give you your payout money. And so what they did is obviously they twisted the narrative on them and they made them the bad boys of the team, causing a lot of disruptions. So I do understand there is many arguments for and against in terms of these players coming to a better setup. I do understand that, and that's what makes it. I get that, but I did say this is from an emotional standpoint. I'll give you my logic at one point, but I'd like to hear from Richard as well, because I get too upset and I start going off on one. And I haven't heard it for 15 minutes.
Fine. I think you mentioned. I think firstly, I think the African football situation. Me and Flexx have discussed this on a few occasions actually, and usually as an African community, we do get our backs up when we do get criticism about the state of football. And Jamie Carragher had made a comment, I think it was last year, about African Cup of Nations not being a major tournament and not being seen as that, right? But the problem is we get our backs up against people like Jamie Carragher who make these comments, but we also don't help our own cause. Now, we're sabotaging our own people who are going to major tournaments. They haven't got the facilities to perform well. They're not getting paid correctly. We're not giving our people the best chances of actually doing well at the World Cup, at these World Cups or African Cup of Nations. So until we sort out our own problems and actually make Ghanaian football attractive for the fans to watch and for players to come and represent their countries, whether it's Ghana, Nigeria, Ivory Coast, whoever it might be, we're always going to have this back and forth battle about it being a second-rate option or maybe not being attractive enough. But I mean, Flexx, you mentioned about commitment and bringing potentially Nketiah and Hudson-Odoi from now until the World Cup to see what
see what it looks like. So for me, I think it's a good idea. Just to check the commitment level, you know, because at the end of the day, we may not necessarily know what the story is. You know, they might come and then all of a sudden they feel, you know, that spirit, the spirit of being a Ghanaian, the spirit of being an African, you know what I mean? These type of things, it kicks in when you're there, live-o in the environment, when the drama is going on, you know what I mean? Then your ancestral blood starts to, you know, you start to feel it different, you know what I'm saying? And then in your heart, you make that decision. You see what I mean? So it's one of those things where I think, only time will tell, and we don't necessarily need to write it off. Yeah, in my opinion, I get it from an emotional standpoint. I know, Papa, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
We need to me and the rest of the Ghana nation need to calm down. We need to calm down, because I think what it is just like, I'm seeing my Nigerian brothers talking about it. Other people say, don't let these guys come. Don't let these guys. I mean, we're getting emotional. Like, no, don't embarrass us. The truth be told is that I just heard yesterday that Lavia's Ghanaian, and my whole opinion changed real quick. I think it was you that I was talking to.
Yes.
I heard Lavia's Ghanaian, and suddenly I was like, oh, well, since Lavia's Ghanaian, and that's a very good player. So,
bro, it's not just him. It's not just him. You've got Cody Gakpo.
George, apparently.
You've got Tariq George's. Cody Gakpo is. Then you've also got Memphis.
Memphis.
Yeah, I know, but you've got Memphis and all these guys. But you look at that and you think, why did they all choose to go and represent the Netherlands or elsewhere? It's because
the setup is much better. You're right.
That's what I'm saying. It's not like we don't have money. Money is in the system, but it's not being used. That's it. It's not being used the way it's supposed to be used. Like, if it was done properly, I kid you not, there'll be no reason why Jamie Carragher, like Richard said, will go and say that the African Cup of Nations is a second-rate tournament. Because really, the African Cup of Nations is no different from the Euros. It's no different from the Copa. It's no different from the Asia tournament that they play over there. It's no different. It's at the same level. FIFA look at all of them at the same. But in one tournament, they spend the market in dollars to make sure that it's in your face. And they make sure that the stadiums, the facilities, the transportation, security, all of these things is done to the highest standard. And that's what you want when you're going to work. I'm not going to go to work and then be told that I'm not being paid. Like, are you nuts? You see what I mean?
No, I hear you. But you know what? Just even bringing it back to the footballers as well. Like, again, look, this isn't opinion based on fact. This is just how I see it from my eye. And you're more than welcome to argue with me and tell me what your opinion is for the viewers that engage. When I watch players like Drogba, Eto'o, and now, granted, some of these guys have had good tournaments sometimes, but a lot of times when I used to watch them in the AFCON, I've watched many, many AFCONs for the last 20, 25 years. They never transfer their club form to the international stage. And I mean that in a sense of these players that we want, when we put them in and we're playing against Chad and Cosmos and Somalia and Ghana always have all these other teams that we play, Sierra Leone and all these other. Listen, that type of football is tough. And you're right, you factor in the environment, the facilities, it makes African football and the physicality really, really difficult. So I never see these players truly at their optimum level anyway. Do you understand? So the point I'm making is that we're chasing players like Eddie Nketiah and Callum Hudson-Odoi. I just don't think they're going to make much of a difference. I know you've quoted the stats. Eddie's got 1 goal in 166 minutes. I know that he's quite lethal in front of goal. That's true. He did it in the Championship. He's done it to some degree in the Premier League. I don't necessarily think that he can handle it with when it gets to the AFCON stage anyway, when you're doing the African World Cup qualifiers. I know World Cup's slightly different because you're playing teams from all nations. But ultimately, I said this to you yesterday or the day before. I was like, when it comes to these players playing in their international teams, they just don't show the same quality. I saw Salah 2-3 years ago struggle in the AFCON, come back to Liverpool after they got dumped out, and he was banging goals again. I was like,
you know why? I tell you why.
Yeah,
I'll tell you why. It's the conditions. The pitch is shocking. If you try too hard, you hurt yourself. Let's be honest. If you like, you're trying, look, you get paid by your club. You know, your goal bonuses and all of these things is coming from your club. So if I come over here in January during the AFCON, by the way, right, and then I go and hurt myself, you know what I mean? Then I'm done for the season.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, so you've got to look at that and just think, if they were playing in the same conditions, if it's possible, if they could transfer the AFCON to even the United States, right? Where the stadiums are much better than what is in Africa, right?
Yeah.
You will see the level is different. You see everyone is playing much better because the pitches you're going to play on is worse than what you see at Hackney Marsh. Like, what are we talking about?
I think why Senegal dealt with England last time, to be honest with you.
Yes.
They had a good pitch.
They had a good pitch. They had a good pitch. That's what that's the difference.
Right.
You know, you're not gonna hurt yourself. You're not gonna twist your ankle. You're not gonna, something mad's gonna happen. Like, it's all of these type of things. So when you go there, you play at literally 40%. You do just enough so that people are not upset. You know what I mean? And then you do what you can, and then if we win, we win. If we don't, oh well, pack my bags and off to wherever I go. Simple.
Not playing with pride though, man. But I hear it.
This is it, man. Richard, man, what we saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think, going back to sort of like the nationality representation, do you feel like, listen, players will always players are selfish. And again, they've realized it's a World Cup year, it's a major tournament. They're going to exercise that convenience, right? But do you think there should be something in player contracts to say, well, if you choose to represent, whether it's England or Holland at under 16s, under 21s, at senior level, whether it's a friendly or competitive game, once you put on that strip, you can't then change your decision. If you've got that in a contract, players won't have that ability to make a choice. The reason why we're criticizing those two now is because they've got a choice.
No, they had it.
They're going to exercise their convenience, right? That's what they do.
No, they had it. They had it, Richard. They had it. Yeah, so this was changed because players were being locked up. So, and England would give someone one cap, right? And then they were cooked because now you can't play international football because if you don't ever get a call up. So then they've made it so that if you play not in a competition, right? So if you're playing in a friendly for whatever national team, you can switch allegiance. And that's the only reason why Eddie can switch and Callum can switch, because they played in friendlies and not in an
official thing. Yeah, they changed that.
Competition. They changed that rule because before it was you get any cap, right? Whether it's friendly or whatever, you're locked. And that's not fair. You've killed the player's, international career.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, Papa, you said you were coming from an emotional perspective, right? But let's just say that those two joined the Black Star team and went to the quarterfinals, like I said, at the World Cup, and Nketiah came off the bench and scored a 90th minute winner to get us to the semi-final. Would we sit here and say we're not happy he's done that because he didn't choose to play for us in the first place? We'll be happy with that contribution, right?
Listen, I started this podcast like the Ghanaian man in the pub in Ghana, just pure emotion and rage. I said to Flexx, I said, listen, if Eddie starts banging in a couple of goals, the fickle fan I am, say, hey, Nketiah, that's our striker. Baby Jet too, I'll be doing all the most. Listen, I also have a non-emotional side to this, and we spoke about this over the phone at one point where it was like, look, if he does start scoring goals, naturally we're going to be like, look, we can see what he can do. And when you think about it, Mainu, for example, came in last minute in the World Cup here. Okay, it's different in the sense that he wasn't fighting to go for Ghana or England or anything like that. But the point I'm making is that in a World Cup year, somebody always comes out of nowhere anyway. It's just that the way that it's happened has got us a little bit upset because we are now more aligned with, why do you only choose us second? We're tired of being chosen second. This is your
Papa, like I mentioned, it's going to happen.
I get
happen.
No, but I understand.
I'm going to represent Ghana or England at a major tournament. If I've got the chance to do that, I will try my luck. Otto said in the intro, he said, listen, we've been tracing these players for years. They've not chosen us. He has every right to say, we're not going to welcome him in. That's his right. But players will try their luck and think, well, okay, well, it's a major tournament. It's my first, maybe only chance to represent either England or Ghana. I'm going to try and get in. That's what players will do. Whether we like it or not, if you grow up in England or Europe, African nations will always be looked at as a secondary option because you come through the academies at the clubs in Europe. You're used to living here. It's just how they see it. And that's why Danny Welbeck in 2011 got a lot of criticism, right? Because I went to the game.
I was at the game. And I was booing him.
He got booed when he came on because he chose England over Ghana, right? But like Flexx, his path was a bit different because he went on to play not just friendlies, played at Euros, played the World Cup for England. He had a good England career.
He did. I mean, we wanted him
not
badly.
Every player has that. But players will try their luck. That's what they're going to do.
And I'm not arguing with that. That's why I said, I made it very clear. I came in on the emotional standpoint. Logically, it does make sense that we should try and give some of these players a chance to maybe enhance our team. I don't want to seem like I'm flippy-flopping. There is an anger in a sense of stop embarrassing us on the world stage. But I do get it. You know what's funny is that me and my brother, when we were young, we were good ballers, innit? And we always sat there crying like, would we play for England? Would we play for Ghana? And we said, you know what? Oh, we play for Ghana. Then we're like, nah, we play for England. So we're all the same in secret, really, at the end of the day. But I just feel like the deeper question really is that it's not so much why do they not keep choosing us? Actually, we should be looking at ourselves. What are we not doing? When I saw the Ghana versus Cosmo, where we won 1-0, we didn't even need to win to qualify. And we saw how they were playing. Partey was chasing back. I looked at the quality of the pitch and I was like, why is it that we haven't got on our national stadium in Accra? You understand? Why haven't we got a top quality pitch? Why is it that with all the investment that Ghana's made, we haven't prioritized our stadium to have a really fantastic pitch and stadium? That's the question that came to my mind. And so,
but you know what, I want to know what it is. Again, this is not football. I'm not going to go into politics here, but as a country, as citizens who live in Ghana, right, we should be demanding this stuff. When it comes to election years in Africa, we support the parties, we support who it is we like, but we don't ask for these things. We don't demand better facilities for football. We don't demand a better quality of football in Ghana, right? But when we go to the major tournaments and we lose, for example, like at AFCON or at the World Cup, that's when everyone moans. But when we're in the election year and we vote for these parties, we don't ask them, what are you going to do to improve our sports? What are you going to do to improve our football? We should be demanding this stuff. That's why Jamie Carragher can turn around and say it's not seen as a major tournament. It's because we don't treat it as such. We don't respect our staff. We don't respect the players who go there. Like Flexx said, Obi Mikel's paying for coaches. That should never happen. It can't happen.
Shouldn't, no.
Do you know what I mean?
So it happens and it will continue to happen.
But why though? That's the thing. Why does it keep happening? Or do we have to put more pressure on them? Does the GFA have to look at itself in terms of who's running it, who's bringing these managers? Because remember, Otto Addo, by the way, he did resign after 2022 Qatar World Cup.
Yeah, he did.
And again, we didn't qualify for AFCON. But it's like all of a sudden now fans are happy now because we've qualified for a World Cup. He's come out quite passionately about Nketiah and Hudson-Odoi not coming to the Ghana squad. So everyone's all of a sudden now we're happy with that now. But when we weren't qualifying for the AFCON and when we had a poor showing in 2024 AFCON, it was a different tone, right? It was almost a meltdown.
Yeah, I was one of them as well.
Do you know what I mean? So we've got to demand more for our football. If we don't demand more from the politicians, from people who run our football in Ghana, and just as a whole, by the way, it won't change. And players won't want to come to play for them.
I agree. No, I agree. I mean, look, I'm on the fence with Nketiah and Callum Hudson-Odoi. They are most likely going to join.
If you were the manager, if you were Otto Addo and they came to you and said, okay, I want to join the squad for the 2026 World Cup, what's your answer going to be? Yes or no? You can't sit on the fence there. You've got to give us an answer.
Well, I'm not sitting on the fence on this one. The thing is, this is why I'm not the manager, because I'm too emotional. I'd have said no. I'd have said Fioko. I'd have been so the hell out of him. Like, how dare you? That's why you can't make someone like me the manager. God knows what he's doing. He put me as a fan because I don't putting my manager's hat on. It does make sense. Like even when I was young and I played games, you want to have the best players in your squad. So naturally, I would look at it and be like, can this? And I said this to Flexx. I said that in 2008, Quincy Owusu-Abeyi was a Dutch player, Dutch-born Ghanaian, that also came into the squad kind of like last minute. So, and he did well. He played and he showed his passion and his pride, and we loved him and we supported him. And he played in a few more tournaments. So really and truly, we shouldn't jump on this rage bait that's going on at the moment of like, why are you coming now? But rather, we really should try and open our arms and say, okay, come and see if you can really improve the team. That would be the most sensible thing to do rather than getting so upset. But I don't know. I just felt like things are, because we've been so bad for so long and we've suddenly picked up these run of really good results and we're looking really good. And I'm just thinking, no, you're taking the mick. Where were you when we called you? And I remember when they tried to call Eddie Nketiah and he flat out turned us down. So I just really believed, oh, he's a London boy. Okay. So now he's really trying to shout for Ghana. I'm like, it's a slap in the face. So I am struggling to pull my emotions apart. If I was Otto, my answer would be no, as I am, as it stands. But the right thing to do would be to say, right, we want to be the team that wins the game for Africa, the first African team to get to the semi-final. What will our best chances be? This is where Otto, as a manager, really needs to apply common sense and be brave. Forget us and our rage bait and our emotions and decide. And maybe use the stats and think, you know what, we could use another striker like him. Who else? What other striker do we have aside Jordan that can really give us an option, even if he's the guy that comes off the bench? Because he does it well off the bench anyway. So maybe he might be that guy. will Callum Hudson-Odoi really give us better options on the wings compared to what we have? Can he improve the team? Can we get Lavia, which I think we can get Lavia, by the way. That's the one exception I'll make.
He plays for Belgium, man. He's good. He's not coming.
Oh, does he play for Belgium?
Yeah.
No, has he played a European game, by the way?
No, I don't think he's played a European game, but he's on his way.
Oh, so they're still eligible, yeah?
Yeah, he's still eligible, but like I said, about the conditions and stuff, he's not going to want this.
I thought he said that he was interested, but like, you know, it's not one rule for another one. No, but ultimately, there is sense in considering these players. It's just, I think like if they were of Kudos's level, I probably would be like, oh, yeah, hell yeah, let's get them in. But because I don't rate them to that level, that's why I'm kind of like, you're taking the mick, man. You're not even a great player. You're already trying to just treat us second choice. And I know there are other factors that make us second choice. But when it comes to Ghana and England in particular, I'm firmly a Ghana fan before an England fan. So
okay,
I'm extremely passionate on that.
Yeah, what about you, Flexx? What would your answer be?
Me, bring them into the fold, see how they perform between now and the World Cup, and not just them. Anyone else that we identify as a position that could enhance the squad, right? Because it's a squad game, you know, and we need quality in various positions on the pitch. So for me, I strip all when it comes to football, I tend just to strip all emotions out of it and just look at, okay, this is where we want to be objectively, right? You know, maybe inwardly we want to get past the last 16, right? What and who do we need to be able to help us do that? You know, anything else after that is a bonus, is how I look at it, right? So if we think we can do that with the squad that we do have, then I have no problem. Like for me, I look at this whole thing as a relay race, right? The people that might have got you to qualify may not be the same people that at the next level to help you do well in the actual finals, right? So for me, it's like, yeah, at the African Cup level or the African qualifier level, we can play with these certain men because that's their level, you know. So it's like even the players they're playing against them, they know them because they play in the African Champions League and whatnot. So they they know that that's their level. But when we go and step up to a World Cup level, and we're playing against the Lukakus, and we're playing against the De Bruynes, and we're playing against, you know, the Van Dijks and so on and so forth, it's not the same level, you know. So what players do we have and we can pull that can elevate us to be at least competitive at that level, you know? So I'll be looking to have a good solid mix. It's sad, and I understand the emotional aspect that you've helped us get this far, and then in the last minute, then we've put you to the wayside and took this person over you. Unfortunately, that's the game, though. Do you see what I mean? Sometimes that's just how it goes, you know? So, you know, we just have to just look at what's going to be best for the nation. As fans, we're not going to care regardless, because if we win, we're going to be happy.
You're right.
That's the bottom line. I think I agree. I said before, I would welcome them into the fold, because I think when it comes to tournament football, international football, and tournament football per se, it's not a long-term thing, right? I mean, it's not like club football where you're trying to build a squad, trying to build a club. And I'll use Thomas Tuchel, for instance, right? He's not English, but he's been brought into the England team to help England win a trophy. That's what his objective is, to win something. And international managers don't have that window where they can have. It was very rare where you get managers who are there for 10 plus years. So they're not building something, right? Their aim is to qualify for major tournaments and to try and win. Ghana's chances might be slim in terms of winning a tournament, but it's to try and get as far as they can, right? And we have to utilize any tool we've got possible. It's not about trying to build a long-term project and trying to do this, to do that. Your job is to try and find the best mix of players to try and help us win something. That's your job, and take all the emotion out of it, right? Because, again, you mentioned about players or fans are saying, well, they haven't helped us qualify, so why should it be in the mix? But I've never disregarded those who have helped us qualify. I think someone like Jordan Ayew, who's been very good for Ghana, he's been consistent. He might not be everyone's favorite option, but when it comes to qualifying, when it comes to Ghana playing well or playing badly, he's always been there, right? When it comes to them getting praise or criticism, he's always been in that mix. So you can't disregard Jordan Ayew because he's been and he's up Ghana, right? But at the same time, from a coach's perspective, is you won't be there for a long time. So if you're qualifying for tournaments try and get the best mix of players you can to help us win a tournament. Because your legacy at the end of the day will be how you do in tournaments, right? That's your legacy as a coach, particularly in international football. So I think Otto Addo has got to take that out of it, emotion out of it. And again, he's someone who resigned after 2022, by the way. He resigned after that tournament. He's been given another chance now. So do everything you can, whether it's with Hudson-Odoi or not, or Nketiah or not, get the best mix of players and try and help Ghana achieve something, because that's what your job is. It's not your job's not to please the fans, because as Ghanaians, right, will be unhappy either way, to be honest with you. You can't please everyone. You can't. Do you know what I mean? So I'll definitely bring them into the mix and see how they do. But at the same time, there's also the argument there, as fans are saying, that they shouldn't be welcoming them because they've not helped us. And that's fair as well. If the coach says no, the coach says no. We can't argue with that. But yeah, guys, it's been good to chat to you today, guys, and get everyone's feelings known, I suppose. And I'm sure we'll check in again, before the World Cup and see how Ghana are preparing for the tournament. But guys, again, thanks again. And also, by the way, listeners, we're on 100 subscribers now. So thanks again for everyone who's helped us engage with our content over the last few months. We really do appreciate it. We're on TikTok as always. We're on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter as well. Like and engage our content. Keeping an eye out on YouTube for the latest videos that do drop. And guys, it's been a pleasure as always.
Yes,
amazing,
man.
amazing,
Pleasure, man.
lovely. Thanks for having me, man. I was going to say that it's probably a good advert for all the Ghanaians that are like myself, who are very emotional and are not thinking logically about Nketiah and Hudson-Odoi. So when they see this, they'll be like, "Oh, you know what? There's a good balance here. Maybe they might reconsider their thoughts and be like, okay, we'll give the boys a chance." Do you understand?
Listen, some people won't change their mind. Some people won't change their mind. Some people will be they shouldn't be in a squad, and that's that. But again, you've got to look at it from both sides. We want Ghana to do well. We want Ghana to advance in the tournament and perform
and that's
well.
the thing. Ultimately, I do want Ghana to do well. So that for me is what's important, because if Nketiah scores a goal in the group stage, I'll be like, that's our striker, that's our boy. I know myself, bro. I'll be shamelessly plugging him. So I understand. But yeah, thanks for the invite, boys, man. Appreciate it.
No worries. Before we finish, Flexx, I know you we had a few comments on our post recently, and somebody commented saying that we don't know the Ghana squad and, this, that, and the other. I'm sure you've got a little response you want to give to that person.
Stanley Ovi, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Stanley Ovi, right? Mr. Stanley Ovi. In the last video, right? We didn't go through the 23-man squad and mention every player by name, right? But we did mention a few players, and we do believe that those players actually do play for the Ghana national team. So could you at least justify why you say that we do not know the national team squad and that we should do some research? I mean, you can see from today's episode that I was able to at least quote, the goals scored per minutes from, a potential Ghana number 9 and a current Ghana number 9, Mr. Stanley Ovi. So, Mr. Stanley Ovi, at least thank you for watching the content, but, if you're going to come and, try and clap back at, those of us here at the Athletes Hub, I think, Mr. Stanley Ovi, you're going to do your fact checking a little bit more, Mr. Stanley Ovi. Okay. But we do appreciate your support. All right. And we'll definitely catch you on the next one, Mr. Stanley. All right. Continue to tune in. And you know what, Mr. Stanley, we would love to have you on. How about that? Let's have a conversation. Mr. Stanley. Right. Reach out to us and we'll organize a time that works.
That's it. Very well said. And again, Stanley Ovi, again, you can reach out to us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter as well. We'd love to have you on the conversation to discuss the Black Stars and everything regarding football. But I think that's a good place to leave it, guys, today.
Yes, sir.
All right. Take it easy, guys.
Right, guys. See you later, guys.
Yeah.
Bye.